very first fan-free forum, an hour-long commercial-free interview in our KFAN press box between Paul Allen and Gophers head football coach P.J. Fleck on Wednesday, July 26th. Hey, that's tomorrow. Callers 11 and 12 right now will win a pair of passes. Call 800-320-5326 right now.
Each moment with you.
Yeah, with that commercial-free hour tomorrow with PJ Fleck from 10 until 11, you get to see the KFAN Performance Studio, which is kind of cool. But secondly, PJ in settings like this is very, very good. I wrote a majority of the questions yesterday, and when I looked back at them last night, there's one thing into which we are going to dive tomorrow that I think is going to be very, very interesting. And it's how... If I say recruiting is a year-round occurrence for a college football head coach, you'd say, like, no bleep, Sherlock. Okay, but what if I tell you I'm not talking about high school kids? And I just, it's when it was, when it came up yesterday, let's just put it that way, I thought it was very interesting, and hopefully you do tomorrow, because PJ... He does it differently in so many different ways than so many different people. And it doesn't mean it's the best, but it's certainly not the worst. And I can't wait to hear him explain some things tomorrow. That is a fan forum, which is free to those of you listening. And if you'd like to join, 800-320-5326, 800-320-5326. Go and get in touch with Maxwell, who is filling in that chair for Nordo, because Nordo is at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center with yours truly. And it's a training camp preview show for your Minnesota Vikings. They begin training camp practice tomorrow. I believe fans are in play on Saturday, 9 to noon. Sadly, we'll not be doing any exclusive Vikings Radio Network perch shows because of the timing of the practices. It's the walkthrough is like 12:15 or 12:45, then practice is like 2:15, 2:30, something like that. So, ack-ack-a-dack. Eventually give the program a whack, bumper to bumper, of course, Dan, with those excellent interviews with Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins and some of your favorite Vikings. Dan, along with JG from the exclusive Vikings Radio Network perch, is always must listen to radio. And that'll be coming at you next week, I would imagine. But we'll finagle our way out here somehow, some way into the TCO studios, won't we?
No, we absolutely will. We'll be doing shows here, and then as soon as the show ends, well, Viking security may have a problem on their hands because we're going to try and sneak out there. Yep. We're going to try and get into the mix.
Yep. Then we say we know Kirk O'Bang.
Catch a glimpse of XYZ player. Maybe take a look at a whiteboard somewhere. Yep. And we'll find our way to the intel.
I think I'm just going to eliminate Kirk O'Bang from the equation because too many people are mistaking it like I'm saying Kurt Cobain, where it's I'm God's cartoon character, but I'm also your cartoon character. So something gets in my head, and I say it for weeks.
Yes.
And it either sticks or it doesn't. This one ain't sticking. And when I heard Justin Jefferson, when he was asked, and Nordo played it during News du Nord.
Yeah, it's top 5 QBs.
Right. And then he didn't put Cousins in it. And then, like, at the end, he's like, oh, yeah, Josh Allen has to be in it. Well, then, of course, there's Kirk O'Bang. So, of course, I couldn't stop saying Kirk O'Bang for like 9 days. Let's make it 13 because it's still here. But it's not Kirk Cobain. It's Kirk O'Bang. It's not a fan-free forum. It's a fan forum that is free.
Yes.
So now just to clear up this is your ambiguity leader, the fan, and it's also your Vikes Bites leader.
Which is brought to you by Stoked Barbecue Pellets. And courtesy of Caledonia, Minnesota, they make these awesome distillery staves out of white oak. And they're like, you know what we do?
What the hell's a distillery stave?
Well, it's like a barrel that they put liquor in, and then for distilleries and things.
Yeah.
But you don't really drink, so you.
Well, I don't know what a stave is.
Yeah,
I know what a distillery is, but I don't. I would call it a barrel, but maybe a stave is different.
It's just I guess the proper or the traditional name of it. Mm-hmm. At any rate, StokedBBQ.com. All white oak pellets for your Traeger, your Yoder, your Green Mountain, your Rectech, Pit Boss, whatever it is. Stoked barbecue pellets. They're unbelievable. StokedBBQ.com. The Vikings have reportedly added a new offensive lineman, PA. He was a 2019 third-round pick, 12 starts in 35 games for the Rams. So that's the KOC. That's the Wes Phillips connection. Bobby Evans, career tackle. Now he joins the mix. Of course, Darisaw into Ezra, into Bradbury, into Ingram, and O'Neal. And behind him, you got last year's 6th-round pick, Verderian Lowe. Oli Udoh still in the mix.
Don't forget Blake Brandel. He's going to make the team, and he's going to play.
There you go, Blake Brandel. And then you have Reed and Schlotman, your swing guys.
Yeah.
In the middle. Both needed to snap the ball for at least a couple of games last season. But Bobby Evans into the mix at some point during camp. Is this just going to be a yearly, never-ending thing where we do have discussions about the depth of the offensive line for a team that wants to avoid injury and win a lot of games?
Well, it is generally for a lot of teams. I mean, this is the time of the year where, you're like, hey, Bobby, come on in here. Prove it. Hey, so-and-so, come on in here. Prove it. Thus, they're called prove-it deals. But for vested veterans, or if they're on the roster for the first game, then they get all their money for that year, whether they play the next 16 or they get cut. So that's the financial and the risk reward wherewithal of a signing like this. I ain't going to sit here and pretend I know the difference between Evans, Note Boom, and Jari Evans playing offensive line for the Saints. But nevertheless, Darisaw, Cleveland, Bradbury, Ingram, and O'Neal. That will be your starting 5. But again, I'm telling you, man, they got things up their sleeves with Blake Brandel and going unbalanced with an extra offensive lineman, and Josh Oliver, who can be an unbalanced extra offensive lineman. He's so freaking big. So, yeah, depth is required, and we'll see what happens here.
Last thing for you on a short segment brought to you by Stoked Barbecue Pellets. We talk about Kirk and Kevin O'Connell. KOC is a tandem. Anytime, every time we're analyzing the offense. What about Wes Phillips in all of this mix? Do we know exactly what type of role, similar to maybe like a George Edwards when Mike Zimmer was handling the defense? But in terms of an offensive coordinator, he's got the title, and we know he's always in the mix chatting with Kirk and working with O'Connell. But what exactly is it that Wes Phillips provides as part of this this triumvirate, this triangle of leadership with the offense?
Well, I would speculate that he is to Kevin what Kevin was to Sean. And Sean McVay, before he and Kevin won a Super Bowl together, well, he had been to the Super Bowl, and Sean McVay has been ballyhooed since he left the Washington staff and went to the St. Louis Rams and then eventually the LA Rams. And I've said it before, if he stays in the league long enough, I truly believe he's going to be a Hall of Fame head coach. That's the reverence I have for Sean McVay and the way he runs things. So with that said, what exactly does Wes do? It's impossible to even explain the nuance or the little part of what I know, but I know when it comes to red zone offensive planning, you got some under the radar cats here who have a lot to do with the success of red zone plays that you really are like, okay, well, it starts and stops with Kevin O'Connell. Well, that is true, but tight ends coach Brian Angelico supposedly is a red zone savant. He went for the offensive coordinator's job with the Baltimore Ravens, didn't get it, so it's good to have him back here. But Angelico has a lot to do with the red zone scheming and diagramming. Likewise for Wes Phillips. So when Kwesi Adofo-Mensah jumps in here and we're going to get new words. You get new words with each coach and new edicts and new baseline mandates and stuff like that. Well, collaborative was used a million times in the first 4, 5, 6 months with Kwesi and Kevin. Well, it's true. I mean, I can't speak for the defense because I don't know enough about it because I don't know people on the defensive side as well as I do the offensive side. But this game plan, this red zone work, this blitz protection, it's collaborative. Chris Cooper, the offensive line coach, obviously will help with the blitz stuff. Likewise for Angelico with his tight ends. Keenan McCardell, many feel, is sitting on an offensive coordinator job. He went out and interviewed with his former coach Bill Belichick and didn't get it. So they have good minds on offense, but it's collaborative, and Wes factors into that. The one of several things that I like about Bum's grandkid and Wade's son is it kind of goes back to the Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes conversation we had earlier with Gabe, where it's like you just don't come across many people who are not my way or the highway in the National Football League. You're at times arrogance leader. And Wes is like, after the first preseason game last year, it wasn't on the sideline because he and Kevin came to the conclusion, me being upstairs in next to the Vox box at home, but in the coach's booth, that's where I am best served. And all coaches want to be on the sideline for the action and just to be right next to it. So he knew that was best for the team, and in collaborative fashion, he ended up there. So Wes, I would imagine Wes wants to take the path Kevin took, where you coach here and then you're a right-hand man here, and then they have a head coaching opportunity, and Wes gets a head coach opportunity. That's what I would imagine he would want down the road. It's 11:16, and you're listening to The Fan.
Real quick before we go to break, the Fan and NMC Exteriors want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword green at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword green. Enter it now at
KFAN, The Fan.
Be a part of our very first fan-free forum, an hour-long commercial-free interview in our KFAN press box between Paul Allen and Gophers head football coach P.J. Fleck on Wednesday, July 26th. Callers 11 and 12 right now will win a pair of passes. Call 800-320-5326 right now.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. Might as well make it callers 13 and 14. Why don't we just give away as many as we possibly can? Fill that place up. Have your questions ready, PA and PJ, during the 10 a.m. hour tomorrow. I'll be roaming with a microphone. And I believe there may even be a portion for a rube or two, maybe many, to ask questions over the course of the fans' free forum in the KFAN press box tomorrow. Welcome back. Quick Covenant cleanup, PA.
Covenant cleanup provided by
crickets. I can't make a cricket noise.
Give me the acapella off the cuff Covenant cleanup thing that you did that I haven't heard in 3 weeks.
Is that a cricket noise?
That sounded great. It sounded great.
Covenant cleanup.
That's what it
say
is.
Stupid things all over the time.
I couldn't get the audio to work on the thing you put on Twitter, where you must have been at Cragen's or wherever you went.
I was at Cragen's, yeah.
Yeah, and it was karaoke or karaoke, however it's properly said. I couldn't, and I'm fully willing to recognize it's operator error.
Sure.
What'd you sing?
Well, I did.
What were you doing?
I did Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby, and then classic The Killer's Mr. Brightside, in which I had some nasty prepubescent voice cracks during it. Pretty much offended everyone in the crowd.
How does the Eventbrite Mr. Whatever song? What's the song called?
Mr. Brightside.
Okay.
Let's see.
By who?
The Killers.
The Killers, you say?
Yeah, it's not in your genre,
okay.
I don't believe. But I performed terribly. Kids were at grandparents, so Molly and I just spent a weekend at Cragen's hanging out. And it was classic. Wife says, you should do karaoke. And then I say, well, I'll do a song if you do. She never, for some reason, found her way to the stage. And so I was doing some free show for those up at Cragen's over the course of the weekend.
Hold on.
Stop now. I just drove by and pursued to the next stop. First left in the hit, to the next spot. Clock was dead, yo.
Ooh. Oh, that sounded good. That's out of my phone.
I can't remember. I had slung a couple of vulgarities at that point, so I don't know if that I have the dump button ready just in case. But yeah, we try to
clean up.
Covenant cleanup staves are not the physical barrel itself.
Oh.
It is the individual slats that comprise the barrel.
Well, that makes it easier.
So at any rate, hey, I love Jim and everybody down at Staggemeyer, but the stoked barbecue pellets are made from that all white oak material, and they bring you Vikes Bites each and every day.
And when you brought up a distillery, stave?
Yeah, bourbon barrel.
Any relation to a dispensary stave?
I think there's probably, I don't know what the stave version would be for the kind
stave
green.
Dispensaries if and or when they come here.
The state of Minnesota has been trying to stave off legalizing said green for a number of years.
When you said it, I had no idea what it was, even though I know what a distillery is. So I looked it up, and it says, what is a stave in distilling? A whiskey stave is a block of wood from the original whiskey aging barrel used to change the flavor of the whiskey.
So I think they put it in there to enhance the aging process or something. Yeah.
It's placed in the bottle of whiskey during the aging process.
Ooh.
Whiskey staves are used to further age whiskey after it is taken from the original aging barrel. So we're talking, this is OG of OW, original wood. This is so therefore the flavor and the taste you would get out of it with the pellets, I would imagine, or the, whatever.
Well, in the staves case with the bourbon, but in the food case, it's the fuel to a Traeger or pellet burning grill. So it's a super consistent, clean, burning pellet.
I got it.
That I use on my Traeger, and it works really well.
Ain't nothing but a stave thing, baby.
Now I kind of want some bourbon, to be honest with you.
Local stave going crazy.
So earlier in the show, talking about 10 guys, the 10 cogs.
Yeah.
And I love the interview with Kirk. It was cool for him to come in here, but he was kind of,
there we are.
We've kind of put him on that A topic among all the cogs in terms of his contract and how this thing needs to jump in year 2 of his relationship with Kevin in this offense.
Well, the A topic is my A topic. I don't think it's anybody else's, and I understand why it's not. Training camp is beginning, so people aren't going to think about, and I just. I've said it before. If you think finding a quarterback even that good is easy, God bless you. And God bless you. That's about the only way to put it. So for me, I've just called the games long enough to know what John David Booty looks like, what Tavares Jackson looks like, what now Dante Culpepper, 10th overall pick, and he's probably the third best, fourth best quarterback in the history of the organization. Okay. But, Christian Ponder, stuff like that. So it's such an important position, and you have somebody who is very, very good. Now it's, so Patrick Mahomes does everything everybody wants.
Yep.
Cool. Who else?
That's about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Kirk does mostly everything everybody wants. What's wrong with that?
It's not bad.
So it's my A topic, man, and it bugs me quite honestly that we have a top 10 quarterback with the arm, the accuracy, the mind, the care, and the statistical wherewithal, who might not be on the team anymore.
Well, it's the A topic for me, where if there was a defined vision. So look at what the Arizona Cardinals did.
I see what you're saying.
Where via transaction, they have found themselves in an interesting spot with draft equity and currency, where they could get Caleb Williams and try to figure out how to move on from Kyler Williams if they wanted to. Kyler Murray.
I see you.
That's a defined vision, and that's something that can be talked about.
What you said earlier about this offense sticks with me, man. It's you can't pump the money into this offense and have these components.
You can't.
And then have us see with the new guy in his schemes and the staff, which is really, really good, and the 25, 26 piece a game. And then all of a sudden it's just 19 a game. You can't run, period. And the play action has no merit, and you've won 6 games.
Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, if you win 6 games, you ain't getting one of those quarterbacks.
And no, you're not.
See what I'm saying?
Correct.
So I don't know, whatever, man.
And so when you were talking about like the mandate 8 with the schedule, for instance, and you were mentioning teams, you just beat this freaking team. My goodness. If you don't win this game, this is ridiculous.
Yep.
A handful of those teams are going to be in front of the Vikings, and a handful of those teams are in the quarterback conversation moving forward. So you're not going to be bad enough to get one of the Drake Mays or the Caleb Williams. You're not necessarily going to be in a spot then with draft equity to push in and beat people to that punch. But then you're also in a situation where Kirk's fancy free right now, man. He's going to be focused. He's obsessed. We know that. He's going to go out there, and as long as he stays healthy, he's going to have a really good season.
Yeah.
And he knows that his next paycheck's coming. He would like it to be here. But he is in the most pressure-free spot of the bunch. Now you got KOC.
Well, let me stop you. Or you continue in a second. I love how you put that because he is in a pressure-free situation because he does not let anxiety, hyperventilating, and fear entrap him, where he's not a prisoner to that.
Right.
So therefore, it's probably there, wondering what's next, but he's not a prisoner to it where it dictates his life. So, but that's rare.
Yep.
That's rare in humanity, and it's rare in that spot in the National Football League. So go Kirk.
No, it is. And he dealt with a situation in Washington that may have, at a younger age, he may have taken that situation more personally than where he's at now.
Yeah.
But in the end, pressure-free, go have a good season, and he knows that the money's going to be there. He knows he will have a team and a home in 2024. Whereas KOC's like, I'm just trying to, I'm now changing this offense. I get year 2 with the guy. I need to have some finality. I need to understand what that looks like moving forward. Jaron Hall, glad we picked him. We did the homework on him via the draft process. But is Jaron Hall truly an answer at this stage?
Yeah.
And most would probably say no.
Well, I wouldn't bet it, but then again, it's okay. He has an opportunity, I guess, but really how much of an opportunity does he have? Because you're not going to get enough in the joints, the behind the scenes, and the preseason action. Well, I shouldn't shortchange the football minds who they're just so much more deeply into it than rubes like us chatting about it. I think it would be I think putting it as a leap would be conservative.
Yeah.
To say it's a leap to go from what you have to he's starting next year. I'm going to keep this in your mental, metaphorical back pocket until I don't believe, as the kids would say, it's a thing. But 2 things. And it doesn't mean like the Super Bowl's in Las Vegas. Where is it next year? Any idea? If you were to guess, I think it's at Lambeau Field. I'm just kidding. I think it's at the softball fields I used to play at off 169 Bryn Mawr or something like that. Bren something of Old Shakopee.
Wasn't that Dred Scott?
Dred Scott, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Played mini golf there a handful of times.
I think I took a softball facility and paired it with a hockey facility and didn't come up with Braemar or Dred Scott. I came up with Bray Dred or Bray Scott. Hey.
It's in the Bayou, so it's Vegas this year and then the Bayou.
All right, so there, it's Nick Mullins. Nobody's going to come into a season and say, Felipe Lopez, the prayer is answered. Copyright Chad Hartman. I'm telling you right now, and I said it last year, because I'd never watched Nick closely. But when I saw him at practice, specifically that week up to the Bears game, his arm's a lot better than I thought it was. I had no idea that he had the rifle that he does. And he also moves better than people think. They like Nick. Here's the point. They like Nick Mullins a lot more than anybody around the league. They have an opinion. And so therefore, I bring that up as a stopgap if something goes amiss.
Yeah.
Now, that's one thing, and I'm speculating. Secondly, would we be surprised if we take a quarterback somewhere in the first round next year, and it's not one of the 3 ballyhooed names, but let's not eliminate the chance or the possibility that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell are in love with 1 or 2 quarterbacks who are going to be in the draft next year, who are not the ballyhooed top 2 or 3. Because this is not willy-nilly, man. This is not fly by the seat of your pants. When it involves the quarterback for a team, if you're wrong on things like that, well, you lose your job.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's embarrassing. And, then you got to try to scratch and claw and try to find another one.
Right.
So what's up, brother? So I wouldn't be surprised, if your prediction you made before I left on my final set of vocal maintenance days, that Kirk will resign.
He will resign.
That Kirk will resign.
I believe he will.
Right, I know, but look where we are, man. We're getting close to the season.
Yeah.
And when I say we're getting close to the season, don't just think Kirk Cousins is laying there just waiting for you. Okay? I mean, he has done enough in his career to have the right to say now or it ain't happening.
Yeah.
Because I'm not thinking about it during the season.
And he already said that, as a matter of fact.
Did he?
It was a month or two ago. Maybe it was actually, I think, mandatory minicamp where it's, at this stage, as we get close, I think it was either in season. I'm totally paraphrasing here. Someone else on the internet will find it.
Yeah.
Basically, we're going to have to handle that next March. Kind of like it's either now or we're going to wait until after the season.
That's kind of what he said here earlier with us.
Correct.
Right, but I mean...
Well, and he takes those Tuesdays off, and Kwesi only calls him on Tuesdays, so I don't know how they're going to connect.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that completely. I'm not saying Kirk's lying, but I mean, if
they hit him with a deal during camp, I think they can have that conversation.
I'm having a tough time wrapping my mental arms around a quarterback at this stage of his career who did what he did last year, having to audition for a spot.
Exactly.
I don't like that. And maybe sometimes I'm too old school. Maybe sometimes I'm too equity oriented. When I say lines are long, gigs are hard to find. And with situations with which I've dealt or I've heard of with other people, the past performances, the resume, what you've done is disregarded now more than at any generation in the last 100 years. The only way I'll put it. It's like, well, we don't care what you did here. It's just all now, right in front of us, coming so fast.
Yeah.
And if that's the case with him, then I got to believe of course they know exactly what they're doing, but I guess going to get a little dreamy here and be like, all right, well, if he ain't on the team next year, well, there has to be, because we're not going to lose enough games to just select one of those quarterbacks.
Yeah, it won't be free, sit at your spot and just wait for it to come to you.
I don't know if I'll bring this up with Florio tomorrow because I don't feel like arguing, but, in his, how'd you describe it? What was it called?
Just pressure free.
Yeah, no, the what was it called when it was like deliberate regression or something like that?
Oh, his burn it down. It was
designed.
Yeah, designed regression.
Yeah, something like regressing by design, which I just felt really was trying a little too hard. But nevertheless, with the design regression or lack thereof, seriously, they're not going to lose enough games to be in a spot to get one of those quarterbacks.
Not a chance.
All right, well, if you don't have one of those quarterbacks, then who are you and what's... Okay, well, you can pay this to him, your left tackle, Jefferson. Remember MV3, okay? And they're tripping in Kansas City right now, by the way, a little bit.
With Chris Jones.
Yeah, they ain't going to admit it, but Chris Jones not showing to camp caught them off guard.
And that's a problem.
And I know that for a fact. That is the reality because I know people who are with that team. That caught them off guard. Well, their MV3 is Mahomes, Kelsey, and Chris Jones. And you need an MV3. We don't have an MV3. Jefferson can be part of the MV3, but Cousins also can be part of it too.
Joanne Williams.
And so therefore, he came from an MV3 type organization in the New England Patriots, so he knows what an MV3 looks like. But with the quarterback and Kirk here, it's it's the pay robbing from Peter to pay Paul. That cliche is you give money here for what you have and you kind of know what it's going to look like, or you just mortgage the future of the franchise with draft picks to move up to get one of the two next year.
Yeah,
and then well, that's what you got to do. Look at the Chiefs-Bills example. That is a very good example. And when I hear Corey Cove say things like, well, it's cherry picking, or it's too convenient to say, yeah, but Tom Brady went in the 6th round. Yeah, but Matt Burke, well, Corey wouldn't say that. Yeah, but somebody got maybe Hawk. Well, that wouldn't happen. Rope, no. Well, anyway, somebody getting drafted in the 6th round and having a long, illustrious Super Bowl winning like career.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that does happen, but it doesn't happen frequently.
Very rare.
So therefore, the picks matter, especially the picks near the top of the draft matter.
Correct.
For fortification. And again, remember, the draft is the lifeblood of your team. It's the blood coursing through your metaphorical football veins.
And we've been bleeding out from 2015, and we still got, again, Kwesi, we got to give time to those picks. But we've had trouble supporting the lifeblood of this team for a handful of years now.
It's foolish looking at last year's draft and trying to put a grade on it or whatever. But
100%.
But nevertheless, if the draft is the lifeblood of organizations coursing through the veins, then free agency is a steroid. It's like pigskin prednisone. It's like you find 5 free agents one day, then the next day you got to find 4, and the next day you got to find 3. Oh, I forgot to find one on Wednesday, so now I'm going to double up on Thursday, and that ain't it. I mean, it worked out okay for the LA Rams. And I do think they're sneakier this year than a lot of other people think because they have an MB3.
You get 9-1 on them on the division too.
On the division, you say? Yeah. You know, who? Oh, we got.
Well, it's Niners,
next level.
But they're minus money. You'd never lay minus money on a future.
I ain't betting straight into the teeth of next level. But you see what I'm saying with these draft picks.
I do. And so the key is moving forward. I'm with you on the idea based on how things have laid out. Based on the fact that they had shots at Levis and a couple other guys in this draft and chose not to do it. Hendon Hooker went 3rd round, I think. Yep. And then Levis went early day 2. So actually they pick Addison, didn't get a shot at Levis. But to my point on that is that tells me right away. And even then, I think there were grumblings that we would have only traded up for 1 QB, and that was Bryce Young. Okay. Well, he was always going first. So that was never an option anyway.
Yeah.
They have to love one of these guys in this draft. And my question would be, and we'll get to see this play out very quickly, is it's clearly a goal that the team wants to get younger and more financially flexible.
Yeah.
So far, as we continue to move forward, they're getting younger.
Yeah.
And eventually they will be more financially flexible. Mm-hmm. Are they getting better? And the tough thing with Kirk, I keep playing it out, but I'm still, when all the dots are connected via various lines, the $16 million that we pushed into next year for Kirk, if he ends up moving on, what did we gain from that?
Yeah.
Because in the end, if we take a QB in the first round, for at least for next year, you're mitigating the value of that rookie contract with all that dead cash that remains on the salary docket. So if they're either going to re-sign him, which I still believe they do, but they have to love a guy in this upcoming draft, and I think in some ways they have to take a guy in this upcoming draft. And so the way Kwesi's been running things, a lot of 11th hour related decisions and finality being found. Dalvin Cook, we're kind of in the 11th hour with Daniil right now. JJ contract. I mean, it's kind of this, and these big decisions, by the way, it's not like they're all Kwesi's fault. I mean, he had a lot on his plate when he first showed up, but now he's here. He chose the job, and he gets the benefit of going through all of this. But the 11th hour stuff, they have to love a QB in the next draft because betting it all on Kirk at this stage is a little risky.
This is 9 to noon.
I can't wait until tomorrow, 'cause tomorrow might very well be too late.
Fun class today, 9 to noon. Great to be back from the VMD, you know me, vocal maintenance days. And I'm going to be off again for 2.5 weeks beginning tomorrow.
Wait a minute, so I got to prep PJ?
Got to prep what?
PJ?
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
That's going to be sweet, man.
That's 10 a.m. tomorrow, KFAN Performance Studio. Kids call it KFAN, but that's cool. And it's from 10 until 11. So, tickets may, I don't know, it just feels like they're really, really hard to get. So you might want to act on it right now.
Yeah, you might want to call 800-320-5326. Mm-hmm. And I know we at least have a couple more pairs that we can hand you gratis. And come see PA with PJ tomorrow.
We don't do raps on the show from TCOPC. You know we, right?
That is correct. But the final segment, because of that, it is brought to you by Casey's and 89-cent fountain and frozen medium-sized drinks. You got your thin crust pizzas. Their thin crust pizzas are unfreaking believable. Pizza in general at Casey's, which is here for good, always good. So thank you, Casey's, for bringing us the final segment.
Hey, now tomorrow 9 to noon outside of the PJ piece. I mean, we're just locked and loaded with a lot of Vikings and NFL related training camp talkers and scenarios and stuff like that. We think you'll enjoy it up to 2 weeks from Thursday is, man, we're at the Cappuccino Capitol.
Yeah.
Playing the Seattle Super Chickens, Softies team. Reading up on some of Seattle's off-season machinations. What's the Jackson Smith?
Njigba?
Njigba, yeah.
Yeah, the Ohio State kid.
Ohio State, thank you. Yeah, they're quite high on him. You know,
How about that with DK and Lockett? And...
Jackson Smith Njigba.
Yep.
The receiver, I didn't know this, but he, due to an injury last year, it's like at Ohio State, man, it wasn't exactly Olave, who's the other receiver? Devontae or?
Well, it was Olave and Garrett Wilson last year.
Garrett Wilson, thank you. It wasn't exactly, 2 years ago. Olave, Wilson, Smith and Njigba.
Right.
Well, no, he was right there with them.
Yeah.
And statistically, he was better than one of them, I think, or something like that.
Oh, and by the way, Marvin Harrison Jr., who's next year's.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a factory going back to Michael Thomas.
Yeah, and another thing that it bragging about getting straight A's in junior college, but they might have the best kicker punter tandem in the National Football League with Dixon, the Aussie, and Jason and Myers.
Myers, formerly the Jets.
I think it might be 1-2.
I don't know. We got Greg Joseph and.
But see, a big thing for them, man.
About us.
A big thing for them, and can't wait to break it down for a quarter and a half during a preseason game. Their long snapper is a rookie from Penn State, and he won something called the Patrick Manley Award for the nation's top long snapper, which I didn't even know they had. And then I'm like, why is it not the Don Muehlbach? That's weird. But plenty of time to discuss it, and we will. For Nordo, I'm Paul Allen. Thank you, Maxwell. Everybody have a good day. Bye-bye.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN